So I used to live in London, in southeast London, place called Greenwich. So it's hence where Greenwich Mean Time comes from. So I moved to New York in 1997. So I was working with a company which was a consulting firm doing Lotus Notes, and they had an office in London, an office in Paris, and they were just beginning to open up their office in New York. And very quickly I was on an aeroplane and they opened up their office in New York, in Hoboken, New Jersey, which is just across the river from New York City. Well, I'm not a huge cricket or baseball fan, actually. I have been to the Yankees Stadium in New York. I would probably say a bit more cricket, I would say, and that's just because people have a bit of a joy with sports that they witness as a child. Baseball is not huge in the UK. So it's not unusual that software is named after animals. So you have the browser Firefox. A lot of the Apple operating systems are named after animals. So that's where the dragon comes from. And we originally had the office in a shared location in Soho, similar to WeWorks, but this is before WeWorks was invented. There was these shared offices called Sunshine Suites. And that's where it was, in Soho. So hence Soho Dragon. So yes, I'm in a Microsoft MVP, and that's an award given by Microsoft to a select number of people. And these are people who evangelize the Microsoft technology stack, and they really share their knowledge to other people in the community, so to customers, so they can understand what the Microsoft products are doing and how they benefit companies, but also to people in the Microsoft community. So you're really allowing people to help their career and grow on the Microsoft technology. Okay, so the book is called Leadership in a Zoom Economy with Microsoft Teams. And it's a leadership book, which I wrote about a lot of the leadership principles I implemented in the company. And it really witnesses the growth of Soho Dragon, about processes that we put in and scaled the company, like scaled and streamlined the company, which are two words which don't often appear in the same sentence. And so really it's for leaders or management who want to basically, grow teams, put structure in place and leverage the Microsoft Teams technology. The book, is about managing a remote workforce with Microsoft Teams. And leadership books, they're not new. Managing remote workers is not new either. But doing this with Microsoft Teams is new. So there's a lot of Microsoft Teams books out there. Okay, so this is really very much more about business processes, how to manage people with Microsoft Teams. A lot of people use Teams purely as the chat and the video conferencing, and they know that there's something a bit more. So the idea behind this book is to just nudge people to say, look, use Teams to really ingrain it in your business processes in the organization. What did surprise me was that a lot of the principles that I was writing down in the book, I was sharing this with other people in other organizations. And they were sort of saying, yeah, that's exactly the same pain points we have. Okay, that's a huge problem that we actually have as well. So there's that consistency of those pain points, which are not unique to Soho Dragon. The other thing as well, a lot of people said, wow, you really do use Microsoft Teams and the Office 365 products in a great way. We're not just talking about Teams, we're talking about OneNote, Whiteboard, the document management features of SharePoint, the task and planner and everything, the full Office suite. The target market is anyone who's managing teams or in leadership positions. So it's management and senior team tech leads. It's not a technical book. It's not a developer book. There's a lot of those already on the market. This is really about applying principles and processes to an organization, leveraging Teams rather than deploying Teams to organizations, processes. It's really help building the processes and using Teams to do this. This is my first Teams book. The previous books, I wrote those with other people. So my first SharePoint book I wrote in 2010 with an employee from Microsoft. So there was just two of us, and that took about a year. Or the 3 books had about 4 or 5 authors. So that takes about 3 months. This book, I've had the idea for a number of years, but before COVID, and that's when I really started putting the thoughts of the book together. And it was really last year I really dug in deep and really started cranking out the chapters. So once you get a publisher behind you, the acquisition editor of that publisher is all over you to meet deadlines. So this should really take about, say, 6-7 months. And you're submitting chapters and never giving you feedback. And also, they have a publication date as well. Okay, and remember, technology has a shelf life as well. And so with on-prem deployments, so like SharePoint 2016, the publisher wants that book to come out in 2016. There's not much use in that book coming out in 2018. But that's really what the publisher wants. They want target dates hit. So it could take 6 to 8 months. Amazon Bookstore, any good bookstore, and you can order it from Barnes & Noble as well. I host a meetup once a month called Teams Tuesday. Find me on my blog, which is www.wardpeter.com, or just look me up on LinkedIn and just connect with me from there.